Hey, welcome to the Personal Development Unplugged podcast with me, Paul Clough. All things hypnosis, NLP, timeline therapy, and lots of other stuff. Deconstructing the most complicated things and finding you processes, easy processes. And this is one of them, a specific one I've just brought to you, developed it for you specifically. Okay, I pinched bits and pieces, but I put it together newly. So if it's important to you to let go of an issue and change and get the success you want, this is the place to be. Have a listen now.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey you, we're back again for, I think it's going to be a longer podcast. Well, not a 5-minute podcast anyway, not even a longer 5-minute podcast, but a longer podcast. And I wanted to see if you're going to come along with me on solving an issue, solving a problem. Oh, I forgot to mention when I recorded this that if you're going to do this with me, do make sure that you're going to be okay. And when I say okay, what I mean is that you're not driving the car. It's not hypnotic, by the way, but it's better that you can really focus your attention on what we're doing. But if you're just listening to it, it's fine. But if you want to get the most out of it, that's more importantly. If you want to get the real most out of it, just put some time aside to listen to it. But if you're not, and you're just going to listen to this as you're walking or you're commuting or doing whatever, then come back and just do that process again, because you'll really enjoy it. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that now. Anyway, back to the episode. So I've got this little process I've been working on. And I want you, if you want to, and you can use it for virtually anything. Anything you're having an issue with or you want to be different about. Maybe behave differently, maybe think differently. Or maybe it's you don't know the answer to something, but you know how you want the answer to be, as in the way you want to address something. I'm not quite sure what the problem is, but I know how I want to be. While maybe like going to a meeting or something like that. So you know the issue is something like, well, it's not necessarily unconfidence, because I'm pretty confident about things, but I just don't feel confident in this particular area, or something like that. Or it could be just an issue. Would you like to do that? Would that be of importance to you, of interest, to be able to understand something as the process? So I wanted to go through this process with you and explain it to you. And then, if you're up for it, we'll actually go through it. But I want you to get the conscious understanding first, what we're doing. Because while I'm doing it, it's a little covert thing here, which I'll bring it overt now. As we explain it and understand it, you'll actually start practicing it, because you can't not start practicing it, if that makes sense. Well, it won't make sense until we do it, would we? But let's think, if you're happy, and we'll do it, really it's just a conversation between you and I. You know, you've got this issue. And this way is a very gentle way of changing things. I know I always like to go back to the cause, but this one sort of does and sort of doesn't. But it always keeps the intention. Because whatever you do and whatever you're experiencing, behind that will be a positive intention. Whether things are good, there'll be a positive intention, and whether things aren't so good, there will be an intention behind that. It's just that it's been lost along the way, or the behaviours and the feedback are now inappropriate, and things need to change, but you want to keep the intention. And a lot of the intention of your unconscious mind is primarily about your safety. So we don't want to lose that, do we? We all want to be safe. I like to think of safety as being comfortable, because if I'm comfortable in any situation, I know then I can access the type of state or states that I want to be in. I can access the information I need to, if I'm talking to somebody, or I can access the behaviors which would be most appropriate because I'm comfortable in me, as it were. And that to me is my safety mode, just being comfortable. If you want to know what comfortable really is like, go way back to, well, effectively, it was the first podcast I ever did. Okay, there's the introduction, but that was, well, that's an introduction, isn't it? But the very first podcast I ever did was all about being comfortable and a wonderful way of dealing with anxiety and dealing with panic attacks and things like that. And my way of being comfortable was just being in a lovely meadow on my birthday, feeling the sunlight and the warmth of the sun, hearing the wind, just the breeze, because there was all those wonderful weeping willows and they were just swaying in the wind. And there's a river, the River Cam. You could just gently hear it, just lapping a little bit. And there was cows, because there's a meadow, so you could hear cows mooing as they moo. And just generally feeling, this is so nice. And that for me is my comfortable. Anyway, if you want to do that, it's #2. And there's also Hypnosis track 2.1. And where do you get them from? Well, you have to go to the hypnosis part. I'll explain about that right now. So, the 90 seconds of hypnosis tracks. Why have I put hypnosis tracks on a separate website? Well, it's so simple, really. I wanted you to have them all in one place, so you can look through them all. You can find the particular one you want. I've even made them downloadable, so you can put them on any of your playing devices that you prefer. You don't need Wi-Fi, you don't need the iTunes or whatever. You can put them anywhere you like. You can even burn them onto disk if you want. Where do you get them? Well, there you go. I told you, it's paulcloughonline.com/podcast. If you're worried about your email address, please don't be, because they stay totally safe with me. I only use them to send you out that email and give you access. Simple as that. I send you a link, a special link, so you and only you can access those hypnosis tracks, because I want them just for you. And the other thing about this is you've taken responsibility. I don't want to make these open to everyone, just random. You have taken responsibility to listen and be part of this community of personal development. And I want to help you. I want to help you personally to get your dreams, your goals, and therefore I'm giving you these tools, these protocols, these paradigms, whatever you want to call them, but in deep hypnosis. So just enjoy. Have more fun than you can stand with hypnosis. Well, that tells you all about how to get the hypnosis tracks as well. But anyway, that's beside the point now, because I want you to come with me. Let's dive easily into this nice, gentle process, comfortable process of change. And the very first thing we want to do is obviously bring your issue, your problem to mind. Because I want you, as if it was a mind map, that would be the very center. This is the thing that I want to change. Now, whether it's like presentation, whether it's like speaking to somebody, whether it's like, well, you need the context. But before we get the context, I just want to know. And I want you to think, and you might want to get a little book out to write the answers down, or you can just think it through. Just think it through as I'm just conversing with you. I want to know why is it important to you to be able to change this situation, to come away from this issue, to let go of this issue, to fix a problem. Why is it important? Say to yourself, why is it important to me to X? You fill in the blank. And just notice what comes up. So it could be, I don't know, so I get on better with my colleagues maybe. or that one particular person. I don't know. Whatever the problem is. But just ask yourself and take a moment, because it's not a rushing thing. It's just a conversation. So just think generally, but specifically generally. Why is this important to me to change? And then say, well, okay, I get that. But why is that answer important to me? To change. Because if I get that, that would mean this. And then you go, well, when you get that answer, why is that answer important to me? Now, why are we doing that? There's another why. And the reason we're doing that is because the second and third removed answers become more unconscious answers. Answers you're not fully aware at the conscious level. And they can surprise you sometimes. And then you say to yourself, well, okay, why else is it important to me to let go of this issue? So why is it important to me to let go of the issue now? What would that mean to me? So not the change, to let it go. And when you get that answer just pop into your mind, as it will do, you say, okay, I get that. So why is, and repeat that sentence, why is that important to me? What will that get me? What does it mean to me to be able to have that? You even add the words fully and completely. If I had that fully and completely, why is that important to me? And you'll get another answer. And then you go, well, why is that important to me? You're getting the drift of this now, yeah? Because again, 3 times removed. Now, if that was 3 times, why don't we do it a 3rd time? And just ask yourself, why is this important to me? In maybe another context. Or why is it important to me as me? Me as a person now, not in that situation, but me as a person. How will it affect me? Why is that important to me when I have that solution? Get the answer, just allow it to bubble up. This one you have to think about a little bit, but as you think about that, immediately ask yourself, then why is that important to me? What will that get me? What will that get me to feel? And why is that important to me? Again, 3 times removed. Now then, you see, this is all about your motivation consciously and unconsciously now. Because we now see the real benefit of letting this situation go, or the issue go, or changing the situation, or being able to adapt and be better, be the way you want to be, but we're not there yet. But unconsciously now, your unconscious mind can notice how much better it would be if you did change. And even as you say each one of those, as I said, you've got to do the process, because I know that you'll probably just, even if it's only just a fraction, a flash, you will visualize it. That solution, that why. That why is it important to you? Each one. You will get a sense of it. And with that sense, you get an internal feeling. The feeling of the wish fulfilled. Now we've got that internal motivation to say, well, why wouldn't we change? Because the issue doesn't feel good. But the change is going to make so much of a difference to us. And it doesn't matter how much of a difference it is, it's going to make a difference. And that positive difference has got to be better than the old way. So now, having got the why, we're going to think, well, hang on a minute. Let's get a little bit more specific. Let's go to the what. But as you think of this issue, I want you to ask inside, what is that positive intention of me having this problem, this issue? Now, we know it's going to be somewhere around safety, but there'll be a different reason. It might be protecting you from, I don't know, maybe failure, if there is such a thing as failure. I know a lot of people, and me included, would say, Well, there is no failure. There's only feedback, and that's a presupposition of NLP, a useful assumption, which is all very well and good unless you're in the problem. And you think it's a failure because it feels that way. And that's the real classic part of the conflict. It's like your unconscious mind is protecting you from failure or the feeling of failure if you actually did this thing. But by not doing it, you feel a failure. Or if it's going to save you from embarrassment, protect you from embarrassment, maybe. Maybe that's another reason. Yet, when people ask you to do that thing and you say, oh, I can't do it, you actually feel embarrassed or embarrassed about doing it. So automatically, even though the positive intention is wonderful, because who wants to feel embarrassed? Who wants to get hurt? It doesn't feel good. And it actually, I tend to find with my clients is the very thing that your unconscious mind is trying to protect you from is the resulting feeling that you have in the issue. So just ask yourself, what is this issue about in the way that the intention behind it? What is it stopping me? Or what is it protecting me from? That's a better way of putting it. And then you think, well, actually, now, if you just thought for a moment in time that, okay, maybe this protection type thing is, let's go from being embarrassed. Let's call it embarrassed. Stop me feeling from being embarrassed, even though I feel embarrassed not doing this thing. What would it get me? How would it feel? How would it feel if I was totally comfortable knowing that I couldn't be embarrassed, or knowing that I couldn't get hurt, or knowing that I couldn't feel a failure? If I got that, how do you think it might make you feel? You could feel it now, couldn't you? Just imagine. Here's a lovely thing to do. Just imagine if you went to sleep tonight and slept such a wonderful sleep. And as you slept and you dreamt, something magical happens. And that magical thing is that this issue disappears. And you wake up in the morning and you know it's disappeared. Because the reason you know it's disappeared is because you've got completely the way you want to be. How would that feel inside? How would that feel inside? Just imagine it now. And this is just imagination. And you've got limitless imagination. So imagine, what would you see inside your head? What pictures would you make when you just knew that it's going to be okay? What would you hear? What would that internal voice be saying to you? What would that internal belief be? When you know you've got it, you can do this. And you can do this and feel comfortable. Maybe you could taste that success, smell that success. And when you put all those things together, what it would feel like. Imagine that feeling coming now. Now, here's the thing. When you feel that feeling, just for a moment now, you're feeling, you've still got that positive intention because this is the actual protection now. And you're actually doing that thing that you weren't doing. But you're doing it in a way that you're comfortable, which means you're totally protected. And you can feel it. You can hear what you'd hear, see what you'd see. Just imagine now, spinning that feeling faster in the direction that makes it even more intensely wonderful. Just imagine doing that. And there's nothing to worry about, because if you spin it the wrong way, you know it doesn't feel so good. So just reverse it. It's as simple as that. And when you notice a colour, make that colour brighter. Maybe you want to make it a rainbow so it has every colour in. And as you do that, and this is the how, by the way, As you do that, let's get really imaginative and visualize it. Imagine and visualize a you over there, going through that context, that scenario of doing your issue the way you want it to be. So the issue is now a successful conclusion, a successful outcome. See yourself over there. And again, some people will say, well, I can't visualize, Cluffy. Well, I know you can, but it doesn't matter. Just be aware that there's a you over there doing it. So it's everything from awareness to 20/20 vision is this visualization process. And imagine it's happening right now over there. And if there's other people involved, notice them, how they're interacting with that you over there. And spin that feeling faster and brighter. You might want to make it warmer maybe. And as you do that, notice how that you over there is doing that successful outcome even better. And as you do that, I wonder what it would be like if you were just to go and be inside that you. What would that be like? So you could see what you'd see, hear what you'd hear, smell and taste that success, and actually feel the physiology of it. Your body moving, your voice, the sound of your voice, the way your muscles move, and that real feeling of enjoyment, of joy, of being able to be so successful at this one particular thing because it's so important to you. And as you do that, I want you to ask this question, and you can shout it out loud in your head. How can I keep this positive intention and find this better way? The solution. How can I access all these skills, these behaviors, these positive beliefs, these values, these wonderful emotions, all the skills I know? How can I access them just like this? Find a better way to keep this intention. This or something better. And as you do that, just leave that you over there and come back into your body. So you're fully back in your body. And again, say, how can I keep this positive intention? Find a better way to get that solution. This or something better. And as you do that, spinning that feeling faster, brighter. Imagine that old picture that you had of that old problem just disappearing now, getting further and further away, all the way to the horizon. The further it goes away, the smaller it gets. The smaller it gets, the darker it gets. The further it goes, the darker it gets, the smaller it gets, until poof, it disappears. And then, we haven't finished. What, Cluffy? We haven't finished? No, because you see, that's all lovely, all lovely. But guess what? Sometimes life happens and we get a few obstacles. So, we've got a what if. What if something was to happen that wasn't there? Now, how do you do that? Well, first of all, I want you to remember those 5 keys to success. What are they? Well, if you're new, I'm going to go over them for you. And if you have been here for some time, you may have listened to them before, but you may need to re-remember them, if there's such a word as re-remember. So I'll re-remember them for you. The first one is know your outcome. Well, we know that now because we know that not the issue, we've actually seen the outcome. How you want to be. That issue has disappeared now. So you know your outcome, how you want to be, the solution, the successful solution. And as you do that, knowing that you're going to use all those wonderful beliefs and values, emotions and behaviors, I want you to imagine and ask your unconscious mind to take intuitive action towards that goal, towards that successful completion. Because this is a strategy. And as you take that massive intuitive action, because he just knows it feels right, you're going to open up your awareness. This is the third key. Open up your awareness to make sure that you're on track, that you're heading towards that goal, because sometimes we go off track. If you're an aeroplane, I know you're not, but if you were an aeroplane, the only 2 times that you are in the right direction is when you take off and when you land. Everything else is a matter of adjustment. Adjusting because of the winds, because of things that are happening, adjusting to come back onto that flight plan so you arrive in the right place. So you have the awareness of knowing if something comes up, you can access the skill you need, the experiences, the knowledge that you have, and to be able to adapt, to move around it, over it, see it for what it is, deal with it, because you've got that wonderful positive belief, you know where you're going, you've got that massive intuitive action that you're going to keep on doing, but you're aware now, and you're making adjustments as you go along. And as you bring that visualization to mind of how you were in that solution, you will have the psychology and physiology of excellence, the acting as if. If you act as if you've already got the solution, you have got that physiology, you've got that positive mindset that will direct you towards your goal, the outcome, with massive intuitive action, being aware of where you are, where you're going, how far you've come. But also that one bit I missed out between that awareness and that physiology is being flexible. That's the 4th key. The 4th key is being flexible enough to change with that 5th key of physiology and that mindset. Now then, if you wanted to, your unconscious mind could visualize this out. Just see yourself. And again, you'll see yourself in little glimpses now, because I want your unconscious mind to go through the scenario of taking that massive intuitive action along the way. But notice that you over there who is going through this process always keeps the big picture in mind. What's the big picture? The final solution. The goal, the aim, where you're headed for. Over there, they keep that big picture in mind, but as they do that, they also have in mind the small steps you're taking, those intuitive steps, those steps of awareness, that flexibility. And notice how that you over there comes to maybe a little problem, a little thing that comes in the way. Notice as they keep that big picture in mind, they can find a way past that obstacle, because they've got that mindset, they've got that motivation. They bring together the whys, why it's so important for you and what it means to you, so they can find all the energy, all the experience, all the learnings that's just right for you. All the time holding the big picture in mind, all the time holding those small baby steps, those little steps along the way. Spinning that feeling faster and faster. Keeping that positive intention in the forefront of your unconscious mind. And notice as that you over there gets closer to the end, how good they feel. Because they feel good through every step of the way. This is not a journey. This is a wonderful adventure of feeling wonderful. Always knowing you're fully protected, you're comfortable. This or something better. And notice, as this all just disappears inside, I want your unconscious mind to know they can generalize this strategy into other areas of your life. So it can use this wonderful feeling whenever it needs to. It can evolve it. It can find other areas of your life that this could form part of a successful strategy. Because good things generalize into all areas of your life. You never know how far the ripples of change go. You know that. So when you make this change now, then you'll never know, but you will know. You won't know now how far the ripples of change will go, but when you experience them in different areas of your life, different contexts, you'll suddenly go, hey, Cluffy was right. That was different. Now, here's the thing. Now, I know you haven't done anything different. We've just been talking. But I've been talking to the both of each and every one of you. That is consciously and unconsciously. If you were now, what happens when you think of that old issue? How determined are you to resolve it, solve it? You know how to. Or do you even think about it as being an issue? Has that feeling completely disappeared right now? Because the harder you look for it, the further it disappears because of all the work we've just done. And isn't it amazing how just in conversation that you can listen to me and think of these things and resolve this issue now to be different? And I wonder, here's the last part of it, and this is for your conscious mind. If your conscious mind was to think out now, what new opportunities might you take on? May you notice because you've resolved this problem right now? And make a note of those. Because if you just go, oh, it's this, this, and this, guess what? Those little wishes can disappear. Write them down. Make a note on your phone. I make my notes in Evernote. I do them on my notepad. I do them on my Rocket book. I do them in my journals. All over the place. In fact, I've been thinking about this and I'll probably talk to you about this again, but I need to keep a special book for these type of things, these wonderful things. So when I look back over them, I go, whoa, yes, I've got it again. And I just reinforce that feeling again and again. Because that's all you have to do is reinforce it right now. So, my friend, how did you like that conversation? Yeah? Yeah, I thought you would. And I enjoyed thinking about that. I thought about it quite deeply before I did it. And I went through those steps just to think of how can I develop a process for you that you can use whenever you want. And guess what? If you did that process and it didn't work, you've lost nothing anyway. You're just the same as you were, but you won't be because the old Cluffy sort of guarantees you cannot not change just by going through that. So if you want to go through it again, just rewind it. Notice where it starts, it starts at the beginning, really, doesn't it? But also I'm thinking about putting this into a hypnosis track. That's why I mentioned the hypnosis tracks earlier at the beginning. There was a reason for that. But I'll be probably doing a hypnosis track separate to this. And then you can have it just whenever you need. It won't be very long. It doesn't need to be long, does it? Because you're already primed in some ways because you've listened to this, haven't we? And your unconscious mind has been listening to me more than probably you realize now. How easy it is to change. I hope you enjoyed every bit of that. And I'd like to think that when you actually start to review, say in a few days' time, how that issue has disappeared, I'd love you to let me know how. Well, not necessarily how, but how you've changed, how you notice a change. I'd love you to send me emails, as so many of you do. Just let me know how these things have affected you in wonderful ways. And maybe in ways that you didn't imagine they would to start off with. Like when I say the ripples of change go in so many places. I always remember, I can't remember if I've told you this, but I remember not too long ago, but a little while ago, I worked with this young lady and she had this phobia of loud noises, mainly things like fireworks and things like that. And we were sitting in my little clinic and I had my little bit of music going. I even had a candle. I'm not woo-woo la-la. I just like a candle on now and again. Just sets the scene. Comfortable. And I was thinking, and I said it out loud, where'd you hear the noises? So peaceful where we live here. And she said, Paul, haven't you noticed that virtually every party you go to now, and I go to a lot of parties and she was really saying, I'm a little bit younger than you, Paul. And that was okay. Because my parties don't have fireworks. They probably have alcohol, but that's it. That's too much information again. But she said, most parties I go to have fireworks. If you notice, you can buy fireworks any day of the week. She said, where we live in the summertime, because we live by the coast, every Saturday night, there's fireworks on the cliff tops because it's for the holiday makers. If you go to Disney, places like that, what do they have every evening? Bloody fireworks. And I go, no, I'm getting it. There's quite a lot of noise around, really, isn't there? There's quite a lot of things like this. And she said, I just feel totally out of control. Totally out of control. So I said, okay, when we did the work, and she phoned me up a little while ago, or a little while after, and said, well, the big test comes, Paul, because tonight I'm going to that party. And I know there's going to be fireworks there. And I am feeling a little bit nervous. And I said to her, well, you will feel nervous because everyone does, especially with a phobia, because when you have to test your phobia, the only way you can test it is by facing that little fear, as it were. And the fear is, did it work? And I said, there's always that little bit of concern. So don't worry about it. That's normal. But just remember, when you walk through that concern, you'll notice it's imagined. And she said, okay, well, I'm going to go for it, Paul, anyway. I'm going for it. Even with that little bit of concern, I'm going to the party and I'm going to have a good time. I feel I'm excited to go, she said. Well, I got the phone call back the following day. And it was so quick after, because it was the following day, I wondered what the hell had happened. And she said, hey, Paul, I can't believe it. She said, the party was wonderful. Yeah, even my boyfriend was watching and he said, I couldn't believe how you could just watch those fireworks, having seen you before. She said, but that's wonderful. But it's not as good as the change I've noticed in the week before, though, since we've been working. And I said, what do you mean? Because we worked on phobia. She said, but, out of control. And I said, yeah, I remember you saying you were out of control. And I did mention one or two other areas of your life where the ripples of change would go. And she said, well, what I can't believe is at work now, where I used to be a little bit nervous talking to people, I am so much in control of myself. And because I'm in control of myself, I feel so comfortable, because we talked about feeling comfortable. And I've taken that comfort and I'm just comfortable in those situations at work where I never used to be. I feel so in control. And because of that, I can communicate properly. I don't not say things that I go away I used to go away and say, oh, I wish I'd said that. She said, I say things and people go, oh, wow. And they appreciate my communication. They appreciate my connection, my contribution. And because of that, I'm feeling more confident. And because of that, people get more confident around me. And because of that, and it just goes on, Paul. And that's what happens. Phobias and things like that are not really the issue. They're just the effect that you notice. They're the significant emotional events that you really notice. But the ripples of change go so far and wide. And that's what will happen here, I think. So I'd love to know how far and wide your ripples of change go right now. So if you could email me, feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. Now, that's totally safe. You will not get any other spammy stuff from me or from anybody else. Occasionally you certainly get a reply, personal reply from me, no one else but me. And if you want, you can then get the newsletter. I do one. It's not it's sort of regular, but not really regular. It's about monthly-ish, where I give you an idea of what's been happening. Because you see, I'm now putting every now and again a transcription now of one of the previous longer podcasts. Might do one of this, but it takes a bit of time for it to come through, and then I have to edit it, and then it's amazing how voice recognition can get the most difficult words, but it can never get cluffy. I don't know why. Never can. So I'm going to have to edit that if I do that. But I've been then putting them back onto the show notes. So I tell you which ones I've put in. So if you want to read it, and sometimes people like reading the spoken word, as it were, because it comes in it's a different format, isn't it? And we learn differently because we'll perceive things differently. And also, the other thing about that is that once you've got it once and you've listened to it, you tend to get it. So when you read it again, or you listen to these podcasts again, you'll get more out of them because you've got a foundation of knowledge. So therefore you can listen to this newly and pick up new stuff. So I do advise, I'd always suggest rather that have a listen to the episodes that maybe you found a little bit confusing, or you didn't quite get, or you wasn't quite for you, and have a listen to them again. Also listen to the ones that really you did get things from, and notice what extra you get from them. I know I do this with myself. Sometimes I'm struggling to read something, or I'm listening to something and say, just not getting it. But then I think, I wonder, and it's a lovely question to ask, I wonder if I stick with this, what could I learn? What can I notice? And 9 times out of 10, boom, I get something from that. And then I get my little notebook out, and then we're off again. And generally, you get to hear about it too, through one of these episodes. I hope you enjoyed your time with me. I know your time is valuable. I do appreciate you spending the time with me and spending the time, putting those emails to me. So if you would, just stay on the line. Stay with me just for a little bit longer, because I just want to say a few more words about what would really help this podcast grow. And also the products that I have. And if you go, oh no, but they're good products. They can make a massive difference to your life. The value is 1,000,000 times more than you'd ever pay. And there's a money-back guarantee on all of that stuff. So you've got nothing to lose other than things like anxiety, unconfidence, tension, stress, anything you name. Anyway, so do stay with me if you would. And then you'll meet me again in a few days' time. Okay, now, have a listen now. Hey, so before you go, I just want to say a big thank you, because so many of you are now sharing this podcast, the Personal Development Unplugged podcast, and it is making a difference. I know it is, but please don't stop. Please keep paying it forward. Share it to everyone you know. Share what you learned from here and tell them where you got it from. In that way, we'll be making a difference. And also, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Look on that player of choice, that platform that you listen on, whether it's Castbox, Google Play, iTunes, or whatever it is. Please look for that subscribe button, if you could, because that makes so much of a difference too. It helps people find this little old thing that we're doing, and will make a difference to you, them, and this little old planet Earth. And it make me feel bloody good too. So please do that. And do remember, there is free hypnosis. Where do you get it? You go to paulcloughonline.com/podcast and get those 45 plus tracks of hypnosis. Have fun with them and make a difference to you, make a difference to the world. Okay? See you soon.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.